There's a graveyard on the water in this country, and almost nobody is talking about it. Along the lakes of Ontario, in the quiet coves of British Columbia, in the harbors of the Maritimes, thousands of boats are being left to rot. Not stored, not sold, abandoned. Hulls cracking, paint peeling away in long gray strips. Some of them are half sunk at their moorings, water lapping over decks that used to be full of families on a Saturday afternoon. And the strangest part? Many of these boats aren't wrecks. Some of them were worth tens of thousands of dollars just a few years ago. Their owners haven't just stopped using them. They've walked away completely, stopped paying, stopped showing up, stopped answering the phone. If you think this is a story about boats, look closer, because what's happening in Canada's marinas in 2026 is one of the clearest windows we have into the financial pressure crushing ordinary Canadian households, and the reason these owners walked away is genuinely shocking. It isn't laziness. It isn't carelessness. It's a cold, brutal piece of arithmetic that a lot of Canadians are quietly doing right now, about a lot more than boats. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll understand exactly why a middle-class family would abandon something they once loved, and why that decision is a warning about where this country is heading. Let's start with what's actually out there. Marina operators across Canada describe the same pattern. A boat arrives, gets a slip, and everything is normal. Then the fees go unpaid. A month passes, then 2. The operator calls and the phone rings out. They send letters, and the letters go unanswered. And eventually the marina realizes the truth. Nobody is coming back for this boat. Ever. So it sits. And Canadian weather does what Canadian weather does. Ice works its way into every crack over the winter and forces it wider. Rain fills the bilge. Something fails, and the vessel starts taking on water. Now the marina isn't just dealing with an unpaid bill. They're dealing with a sinking hazard, potentially leaking fuel and oil into the water in a slip they cannot rent to anyone else. Multiply that across the country, and you get what people in the industry have started calling boat graveyards. Rows of derelict vessels slowly going under in some of the most beautiful places in Canada. So how did we get here? Because this didn't used to happen, not like this. For decades, a boat in Canada was the ultimate expression of a comfortable middle-class life. It wasn't billionaire territory. A school teacher could have one. A plumber could have one. It was the reward for years of steady work, the thing that made the summers mean something. Lake weekends, kids learning to swim off the back. The reason you got through another long winter. That was the deal. Work hard and you get the boat, the cottage weekends, the summers on the water. Then, quietly, the costs began to climb from every direction at once. Start with the marina slip itself. Mooring fees rose. Winter storage rose. And in this country, storage isn't optional. You cannot leave a boat in the water through a Canadian freeze. It has to come out, be hauled, be shrink-wrapped, be stored, then be launched again in spring. That's a serious annual bill before you've even touched the water. Then insurance climbed. Then fuel, because boats are thirsty, and every outing costs real money now. Then maintenance, because marine parts and marine labor follow the same brutal curve as everything else in the trades. Expensive, and getting worse. And here's what really broke it. All of that happened at exactly the same moment that the rest of Canadian life got more expensive. The mortgage payment went up, the rent went up, groceries went up, home insurance, heating, everything. The household budget that used to have room in it for a boat suddenly had no room in it for anything. So the boat became the first thing to go. That's normal. That's what should happen. You sell it. Except, and this is where the story turns, a lot of these owners discovered they couldn't. Now here's the shocking part. The real reason those boats are rotting. For a huge number of these owners, the boat became worth less than the cost of getting rid of it. Read that again because it's the whole story. Think it through. You want to sell. But the used boat market is soft because every other stretched Canadian family is trying to sell theirs at the same moment, and almost nobody is buying for exactly the same reason you're selling. So there's no buyer at any price you'd accept, and maybe no buyer at all. Fine, you think. I'll just get rid of it. But disposing of a boat properly is not free. It has to be hauled out of the water. It has to be transported. It has to be broken up and disposed of. And fiberglass is genuinely difficult and expensive to dispose of. That process can cost thousands of dollars. So now look at where the owner stands. They have an asset that nobody will buy. It costs them money every single month just to keep sitting where it is. And it will cost them thousands of dollars they don't have to legally destroy it. There is no exit. Every door out of this costs money they no longer have. And so, faced with an object that only drains them, some owners make a cold decision. They stop paying. They stop coming. They let it rot. Because walking away, as shameful as it feels, as much as they hate it, is the only option that doesn't cost them another dollar. That's the shocking truth behind the rotting boats. It isn't neglect. It's economics. These people didn't stop caring. They ran out of road. Let me make it real for you. Picture a family near a lake in Ontario. 5 years ago, that boat was the center of their entire summer. The father saved for years to buy it. The kids grew up on it. There are photographs on the wall, sunburnt faces, a fish held up, everyone laughing. Then the mortgage renews at a rate that takes a savage bite out of every month. Groceries climb. One of them has hours cut back at work. And suddenly, they're sitting at the kitchen table at 11 at night, doing the arithmetic that millions of Canadians are doing right now, and every single line item is a fight. The marina bill arrives, and it is simply one bill too many. They don't make a dramatic decision. They don't announce anything. They just stop. They don't drive out to the lake that spring. They don't open the letter. And their boat quietly joins the thousands slowly sinking at the dock, with the photographs still on the wall at home. That's not a story about a boat. That's a story about a Canadian family being squeezed until something gave. And this is why it matters so much more than it seems. When people abandon the things they once treasured, it tells you that discretionary money, the money for joy, for leisure, for the extras that make a life feel like a life, has evaporated. Completely. Not reduced. Gone. The boat is the canary in the coal mine. Luxuries always go first. Then the small pleasures. Then the necessities start getting squeezed too. The dentist appointment you delay, the car repair you postpone, the vacation you cancel for the 3rd year running. A country full of abandoned luxuries is a country under real, grinding financial strain. And what's rotting in those marinas isn't just fiberglass. It's the middle-class Canadian dream, the version of this country where working hard reliably bought you a decent life with some joy in it. There's a cruel irony, too. Those boats aren't just sitting there harmlessly. They're a genuine environmental problem, leaking fuel, oil, and heavy metals into the same lakes and coastal waters that make this country beautiful. And the cleanup cost, which the original owner couldn't afford, doesn't vanish. It lands on the marina, or the municipality, or the taxpayer, which means all of us end up paying for it anyway. So where does this go from here? Marinas are left cleaning up a mess they didn't make, often at their own expense. Some are tightening their contracts. Municipalities are drafting rules to deal with derelict vessels. Provinces are looking at who's responsible. But understand this clearly. None of that fixes the actual cause. You can pass every rule you like about abandoned boats. You cannot legislate room back into a household budget that has none. The rot on the water is a symptom. The disease is a Canadian middle class that has run out of margin, and it leaves an uncomfortable question hanging over all of it. If Canadians are now abandoning the things they spent years working for, if they're walking away from the very rewards that made the work feel worth it, how much more pressure can households absorb before something bigger gives? So I want to hear from you. Have you seen these abandoned boats in your area? Have you given up? Something you worked hard for because the numbers stopped adding up. And do you think these rotting boats are just an odd side effect, or a genuine warning about the state of the Canadian middle class? Tell me in the comments. I read them, and these stories deserve to be heard. And if you want clear-eyed looks at the trends quietly reshaping life across Canada, the ones that show up in a marina long before they show up in a headline, subscribe to Canada Insider. We're only just getting started.